Welcome, my 315 subscribers, everyone who expected a Jay Briscoe tribute last week and is still waiting for the Ring of Honor show that Tony Khan said they filmed. For those of you who tirelessly tweeted and whatever at Warner Brothers and Discovery to finally make this happen, to finally have the Briscoes on TV. Welcome to my review of AEW Dynamite for the January 25th show. Let's begin. So the show opens with Les Sex Gods versus Ricky Starks and Action Andretti. So as a result of Daniel Garcia's loss to Action Andretti on Rampage, Sammy Guevara takes his spot with Chris Jericho. So of course, Daniel Garcia is at ringside. The Kohai, the junior member, he is so good at simping. At simping for his senpai, Sammy Guevara. A bit inconsistent though, because last week, he didn't even want to be hugged. And after he lost because of the pants, but it wasn't really shown, so we can't blame the pants too much. Dude still wears the leather pants on ringside and is so much more supportive of Sammy. And you know what? I like some more consistency, but this is how it should be. Don't break up the faction right away. Have this dynamic going for months. Yeah, it might diminish 2.0 as the real tag team of the group, but that can easily be avoided by just having them go for different titles. As for the match itself, this is without question Andretti's best performance. He's so smooth in the ring. He doesn't botch. Such a great high-flying wrestler. He's half of what Will Ospreay is right now. And then maybe let's say 75% of Dante Martin. That may sound like an insult, but come on, Will Ospreay is the biggest gaijin in Japan. And Dante Martin is starting to get his groove on, if that's how you say it. We get one almost botch. I think because Andretti isn't able to get down far enough, but Sammy manages to save this. It happens pretty fast and it's missable. So good job covering that up. Sammy's the best performer of the match, even though the crowd hates him. His style meshes really well with Andretti. Top 2 spots go to Sammy as well. And as for Starks and Jericho, they were pretty basic here. They were the supporting actors. They have awesome stuff hit on them, like Starks. Starks goes for the old school, which is a stupid move, by the way. Even when The Undertaker did it, I hated it so much. And here, Ricky Starks does a dance. But the move that resulted from this is a cutter by Sammy Guevara. Jericho was the most basic thing in this match. If you wanted Ricky Starks to prove his point that he was just using these two young dudes, this is the match that you'll show them. The finish is Starks Rochambeau's Jericho outside. And then Action and Sammy have this reverse fireman carry exchange where one even challenges how much Andretti squats because Sammy dives and is caught in this position. But then Garcia uses the bat. Sammy hits him with a GTH for the win. So first off, I think the match was a bit too long, by a minute or two. And I don't think that the protection for Andretti was needed, since his two opponents far outrank him in popularity and veterancy, as well as in the hierarchy. This wasn't needed. Top 3 spots of the match. Number 3 is the Ospreay Ricochet face-off spot. Number 2 is Sammy, old school cuttering Starks. And then number 1 is the outside dive, where Garcia simps for him after. So yeah, this was a pretty good opening match. Given what the rest of the show had, I think this was the perfect one to open up this show. So after this is the long-awaited Jay Briscoe tribute video, or just anything relating to Jay Briscoe being honored. We had armbands in various companies, but that's not enough. We need something with focus. A segment actually dedicated to Jay Briscoe, and this is it. This is this well-made video that's not only displaying his wrestling career, but also his personal life. It has a very good background music playing through all of this, and it successfully gets the emotions from the crowd as well as me as well as honoring Jay Briscoe and then telling us, for those who don't know him, about the dude. There's this part where one of the daughters that were involved in the accident is like saying something. I don't know which daughter is the one that was injured, but God, this hit. A positive update to the situation might have been nice. But at least if they're actually showing Jay's daughter talking, that means things are going in a good direction. And yeah, this had me tearing up and immediately had me searching for the song. So fucking good. I don't know if it's fair to include this in segment of the night, just because it's so real. Yeah, so I'm not including this in segment of the night. So after this is Darby Allin versus Buddy Matthews for the TNT Championship. So after that video, I thought it would be cool if like they would have this Jay Briscoe honoring ceremony or something, like right after that tribute video. But I remembered there's still the Ring of Honor tribute show, so they might have felt they've already done it. But yeah, post it. Post the tribute show. And as for this match, this is like one of Darby's like open challenges. Yeah, it's not really story based. It's just Darby. For the life of me, I don't know why. He wants to defend that title every week. And yeah, if you do that, if you're on every week, it gets boring. But Darby's one of the guys who's like good enough in the ring, who can actually like give us something different every week. And if he doesn't, he does have his like usual lifeline of doing sick bumps. And here he doesn't do that sick of bumps. Like as usual, he would like jump off the top turnbuckle to the outside or something. Like really, really painful shit like that. But here, they sort of pull it back. But the match starts out very differently because they just hang out on the apron. On aprons like all around the ring. And at ringside. I think they were barely in the center of the ring for the whole match. Maybe like just for the finishing stretch. The match has a different structure from what we've been getting from the past few weeks. Like it's evenly matched the whole way. And if there's anyone allowed to use the lights off, lights on spot, it's House of Black. The only faction that makes sense because back in the day, when AEW started, everyone did this. Shit didn't make sense like Cody. That's why I don't understand when people like look at those days with so much fondness. It's that fucking nostalgia creeping up and it's not gonna help anyone. You always have to have fans be excited about the future and not dwell on the past. Or else you'll end up with a fan base who just like says, oh, things were better back in those days. And it must be annoying to have that shit. Like when people compare the Ruthless Aggression era to like what we have now in like when I watched the WWE, I was so annoyed when people kept saying, oh, the Attitude Era, oh, the Ruthless Aggression Era was better. Because fuck, appreciate the shit you have now. Much better workers. Matches are guaranteed like a level of quality. You don't have Kennel from Hell. You don't have like the sexism and shit. Or like the humiliation of women on live television. So hopefully that doesn't happen with AEW, but might be too early, but I've seen some people starting to do this shit. And it's my job to tell you that maybe the first year of AEW wasn't that good. Just saying. And I say this because House of Black, like, do this entrance. They're about to help out Buddy Matthews. They're about to attack Sting. But then Ortiz helps out. And then Sting and Ortiz cancel out Brody King and Malachi Black. So when we get near the end, the match kind of slows down. So I was hoping for like a faster match since we have Buddy Matthews and Darby Allin. They should have been just like a show stealer. Some fast exchanges would have been awesome. And yeah, I'm satisfied with the match we got. So top spots of the match, number 3, are the apron spots to start. Like the early ringside spots with the guardrail, with Darby in this like powerbomb position and him getting swung around. Number 2 is the Meteora on the apron. And number 1 is Buddy doing a cannonball with Darby, like having the rear naked choke on him. Like I think Brody King did this once, but I forgot. But it's so cool. It's one of the best spots that this faction has. And as for the finish, we have a struggle, leaving Buddy hanging, like draped on like the second or first rope. Darby hits a coffin drop and wins 1, 2, 3. This match was TV main event, pay-per-view undercard. Enjoyed it, enjoyed the evenly matched dynamic. Love the spots. And I love that Ortiz and Kingston, like that storyline there, is finally part of Dynamite. So for the post-match, this is exactly what I expected. Samoa Joe challenges Darby for a third match. Joe won the first in that title defense. Darby won the second. And now for the third, I think Joe's going to take it back. It only makes sense, and I think his peak with that title wasn't reached yet with what happened last time. And for the love of God, stop pitting Wardlow against him. It doesn't work. Put Wardlow in another feud. As for Joe, have him go through everyone. Have him face off against Starks, against, I don't know if Hobbs, maybe not. But yeah, just have him go through people. Please? The man can always promo like he does here. Very poetic, great eloquence. This guy's the full package. If he was only younger, you could put the big belt on him. But who knows, they still might, but we'll see. So after this is the Adam Cole video promo. It's him putting AEW over, and basically a montage of him training to get back in the ring. But I think he's already ready. I think this is only like an excuse since there's a lot going on right now in AEW. You don't have much room for Adam Cole. He was only debuted because it was in LA. It's a good way to excuse his absence. So yeah, play this story that he's getting in ring shape. He asks fans to wait just a little bit longer because, like me personally, I thought he was going to have a match right away. Like, at least in the next 2 weeks. But now he's being put off. But yeah, glad to see him not wanting to leave the company, like Bobby Fish did. Suck it, Bobby Fish. So after this is the Jungle Hook versus Ethan Page and Matt Hardy match. And this match had the babyface team of Jungle Boy and Hook. Like, babyface not only because that's their role in the feud, but they're literally two teenage heartthrobs. But here, they were just like supporting characters. The main story of the match was Ethan Page and Matt Hardy. Like this firm thing that's not working out. It started out like really funny because they played Jeff Hardy's music, crowd was pumped up, but then it was Ethan Page, Matt Hardy, Isaiah Cassidy, and Stokely Hathaway. This shit popped me right here. I am growing on this comedic pairing right here. I eventually think Page is going to fire Matt. I think this is like a plot by Matt, like sabotage the group, maybe until Mark Quinn comes back or Jeff Hardy, and then I don't see the firm losing, but they've lost so much that, you know what? What the hell? Just have Lee Moriarty take the pin. But yeah, Ethan Page and the firm are growing on me, but not in a like main event faction sort of way. So the heel team start out surprisingly very coordinated. Like, these guys were a well-oiled machine. They worked the shit out of Jungle Boy's arm, they cut the ring in half, and then finally, I see what I've wanted to see ever since this guy fucking started having these higher profile feuds after winning the FTW championship. Hook struggles. Like, Ethan Page and Matt Hardy effectively like take him out at some points. And then as for the finish, this was very fucking good. This is spot of the match. The other one being the double team. But yeah, this fucking spot here, where Matt Hardy has Jungle Boy. Like, they're so close from victory. He hits a side effect, goes for the twist of fate like classic Matt Hardy. But then fucking Ethan Page asks for the tag. He's doing a Jade Cargill. He wants to be the one to get the pin, and this costs him the match. It wasn't Hardy's fault at all. He's not trying to sabotage anyone. He's legit trying to make this work. But Ethan Page fucks himself over. Ethan Page gets snare trapped as Hook pulls Matt Hardy off of their corner, and Ethan Page taps out. Fucking great finish. TV main event. Pay-per-view undercard. Matches tonight have been so fucking consistent. So yeah, after this is Family Therapy with the Acclaimed, Daddy Ass, and the Guns. Okay, so this was basically Therapist reacts to wrestling feud. Because this was a bit silly. We get a lot of shots to the reactions of the therapist. Even though, like, in real life, that's, like, she's not allowed to, like, have those reactions. Probably because the patient is, like, facing away from her, but yeah. But as for this one, this starts out a bit silly, but then escalates. Like, the ass boys actually bring up good points. And are now villains who you can sympathize with. Since they cite their father's absence, they also bring up the fact that they helped the Acclaimed when Anthony Bowens was injured. But we all knew that they got jealous. They fucked over the Acclaimed. But really, could that not have been solved with words? And even if the Acclaimed were in the right, after being attacked first, their response here was so weak. They are losing the high ground. It's like they've let the fame get to their heads. There's decadence there now, and I can see how the Acclaimed will lose the title. I think Billy Gunn is going to go back to his sons. I think that's a mistake since it's still like the Acclaimed are still pretty hot, but you need to get those titles to FTR, and I think that's the reason why, since I don't think the Guns are ready for the titles yet. Like, them as a team can't carry other teams to great matches yet, just like the Acclaimed can. But yeah, storyline-wise, this makes sense. So yeah, I'm still gonna stick with my prediction that the Ass Boys are gonna be the next champions. They're gonna have a short reign and then drop it to FTR. But yeah, we might even get this reconciliation between Ass Boys and the Acclaimed. And like this time last year, they will be like as a faction, but with bigger profiles. So after this is the Hangman Page promo, where apparently his feud is not yet over. So yeah, last week I thought the feud was done. I thought like respect was given. But I guess Hangman Page pulling back at the last second is what gets this feud to continue. And then after the rubber match that I predicted after their second match, we're gonna have the actual like respect shown, babyface, stay babyface. And we have an evolution of Hangman Page's character. Hopefully he doesn't turn heel. I don't want him to turn heel. But the next match is probably going to be lights out. It's gonna be hardcore, and it's gonna tear Hangman Page up. Break him down, make him into a new character, and yeah, make him stronger, go for that belt, whatever. But as like a roadblock, as someone he has to go through before getting to Mox, we have Wheeler Yuta. And yeah, Hangman Page is good enough to like carry anyone to great matches, but Wheeler has shown himself to be capable of like good matches as well. Can't carry anyone, but with a good partner, he can be elevated. That's going to be happening on Rampage, and I think I'm going to have to review Rampage now. So yeah, after this is Brian Cage versus Bryan Danielson. So I can't believe how much Danielson dominated Cage. Like, to start the match, he was countering power with his technical ability, and I think that is the counter to like a power wrestler, but Cage was whooped. I thought it was because he was getting released, but apparently he's not now, since he got a great bit of offense as well as like the last laugh over the number one contender for the AEW Championship, someone who isn't leaving the company. So yeah, so when Cage started to like beat the shit out of Danielson, that's when I knew this guy isn't leaving. Because if he was, you could have easily had him tap out right away here. He was on that label lock for a pretty long time, and I think Tony Khan used that fact to subvert expectations, and it worked. So Brian Cage does MJF's bidding and tries to break Danielson's arm. He doesn't do so with submissions since he barely has any. He does so by power moves, by throwing Danielson, having him land on his arm on every hard surface. The best one, and I think it's spot of the match, is when Danielson does his like somersault off of the top turnbuckle and then Cage just catches him for the shoulder breaker. Selling by Danielson was consistent all throughout the match, even on offense. And even when he did the Danielson stomp, he couldn't do it because his arm was too hurt. So yeah, top 3 spots of the match. Number 3 is the military press slam on the turnbuckle. Number 2 is the finish. Since it's not definitive like the other guys, he gets a quick pinfall for the win. And then as for top spot, it's the shoulder breaker. It's the best. So before I talk about what happens after the match, I think this is better than the Konosuke match. Like, there were no botches. There was some awesome selling. There was some great subversion of expectations. And Brian Cage looked fucking awesome. So yeah, I think the Bandito match was the best. Number 2 is this one. Number 3 is the Konosuke match. So after the match. Brian Cage just keeps attacking Danielson. He like blindsides him and then he destroys his arm. MJF then comes out and then they both try to tear Danielson's arm out of the socket. Like literally, that's what Doc Samson says in the segment after this. And so yeah, Knosuke goes for the save, but there's a big plot hole here because he was supposed to watch Danielson's back. Like he declared this last week. But then he comes after the deed already has been done. MJF and Cage succeeded. And he's just there to like drive them off, have a face-off with Cage. And yeah, set up his next feud. Which I hope Brian Cage wins, if he's not leaving. And then MJF just slips away. So yeah, I think this match is pay-per-view undercard. This just shows that Brian Cage is an awesome talent. And you should keep him in your roster. And he should have been featured all that time when he was away. So after this is the follow-up segment where it's announced by Doc Samson that Danielson has a subluxed glenohumeral joint, a shoulder dislocation. So yeah, for me this could have gone worse. Like in kayfabe, like by broken arm I expected Rey Fenix, like having it go the other way. But yeah, they did a pretty good enough job. So Danielson cuts a great promo, well impassioned, it doesn't come out as just shouty. He makes his point, he doesn't want to hear what Doc Samson has to say, and consistent to his character, he's gonna find a way or not care to be cleared. Yeah, it's still pretty consistent with Danielson's character, which is awesome. So after this is Ruby Soho versus Toni Storm. So the lines are drawn. This isn't just a brain-dead feud concocted by Vince McMahon that pits like factual, inarguable allegiances of like these people with each other. Like it's basically not just, oh, I come from this company, so I'm gonna side with other girls who like came from this company as well. Ruby Soho actually chooses to sympathize with the originals, and they're giving solid explanations about this. It's kind of like the invasion angle. Since there was like a mix between the people, and they're giving like very reasonable reasons for people not to side with a certain faction. Because Willow Nightingale has gained Ruby Soho's respect. Ruby is solidly with the AEW originals. Like Tony Khan only has to look at the invasion angle and then not do it. Exactly how they did. There is depth here, and I think this match makes more sense than the one that was cancelled because Britt was supposed to be part of this. It was supposed to be like this triple threat, but it makes so much more sense because the shit that happened last week is Ruby Soho facing off with Saraya and Tony. Like literally, Britt Baker's injury, I think, resulted in a match that makes more sense booking-wise. The match itself has like the usual structure that has a very good babyface versus heel mechanic between the wrestlers. Because Ruby Soho, like the screams and the selling she does, sells her more of an underdog. And then Toni Storm with like the reduced makeup, making her look like this sort of witch character. Or like an antagonist in a horror movie. She's kind of like Mia Goth. And just the way she trash talks Ruby is much more suited for her. And her style of being like this stiffer moving, sort of less flexible woman. Yeah, she's a lot more brusque than the other girls in the division. Like being a heel, like being this like tougher sort of person works much better on her. And yeah, she dominates the shit out of Ruby in the match. It's pretty much 25-75. The match doesn't reach this like next gear. They might be saving that for a future date. But yeah, Ruby doesn't do much. Tony gets distracted by Britt Baker, who shows up with entrance and all, didn't say anything. She should have really said something. She just like had a stare down, distracted Tony. Ruby gets her for the Destination Unknown for the win. So yeah, this match is TV undercard. Like I had this scored higher, but I just can't give it like a TV main event. It's too uneventful. And nothing really much happens. Except like the no-sell spot at like number 2, where Toni Storm uses this to regain control after Toni Storm gets some control. And then the number 1 spot is the ass attack, like Toni Storm's best spot, where she just launches an opponent out the ring with her ass. So yeah, I'm guessing this makes much more sense story-wise, but match quality, maybe a three-way would have been better. So after this is MJF's promo. First against Takeshita and then second against Danielson. It's just him big-timing Takeshita, possibly setting up a match, but I'm sensing Takeshita versus Cage for now. And then when he shifts it to Danielson, he just goes for the deep cuts and then goes for like the MJF move, where he tries to make himself look sympathetic. He tries to gain sympathy for the devil. Just like his song at All Out, this is what MJF does. So yeah, we're finally getting back to that level of MJF. Problem is, I don't think he has like an equivalent in like his promo battle. Like Danielson really needs to step up here with his promos. And like, I don't even think like Danielson needs to cut a big promo since he's not the sort of dude to be fazed by this. Like, unless you bring in Brie or Birdie Bella or like the other child, I don't think Danielson is going to be fazed. He's just going to put it off and just patiently wait for his match against MJF. Because that's just how he comes off. He comes off as someone who's incredibly like confident in his abilities as a wrestler. And like he knows that he can just take MJF out. That's why I think this feud happens too early. Like, I really think Danielson should be the one to take the belt from MJF. That's why I want him to be like storyline sidelined. And then he just comes back like months before he wins the belt, like a year from now. Yeah, you need Danielson on the show. So I won't be surprised if this doesn't happen. And yeah, maybe someone else takes the belt. Maybe Kenny, maybe Hangman, or Wardlow. And then after this, MJF announces Danielson's next opponent. And it's fucking Timothy Thatcher from Pro Wrestling Noah and then formerly NXT. Okay, so honestly for me, Timothy Thatcher is a bit hit or miss. Like when I watched him in Noah, I think he can put me to sleep in more than one way. Like he's this catch wrestler, he's a technical guy, he can fucking choke me out. Or like punch me and knock me out, but his style is not the most entertaining to watch. He has the look, he has everything, but like just the fun factor. And if anyone can bring out like this fun match from him, a great match, I think it's Danielson. We're gonna have a highly technical showdown next week. It has high potential, but also a higher chance to bomb. And so after this, we get Jamie Hayter's promo against Emmy Sakura. And I thought Emmy was a heel on Dark. I mean, I know Jamie isn't really a heel completely right now because the crowd just loves her. And she'll probably be the babyface in this match. But maybe you shouldn't have brought Emmy like right away. Maybe have her win a couple of matches on Rampage first. But yeah, this is probably going to be a good match with some good character work. And then after this, we get the announcement of like Hangman Page versus Jon Moxley right away. You know what? I did not expect this to like happen this soon. I think this is a bad move. You should have just held on for like a week, have them cut promos on each other before you have their rubber match. Or you know what? Save the rubber match until the next pay-per-view. What a bad booking decision right here. It's not even a lights out match. Maybe we'll get the lights out match at the pay-per-view, but that's already 3 in the series. So maybe Moxley has to win the one next week. Or it like ends in a dusty finish. Like you can't have it end like this without like the complete build, without the complete story. Yeah, I'm not into this idea. So after this is Jay Lethal versus Mark Briscoe in Mark Briscoe's debut match for AEW. This one just like hit right at the feels because from the start, Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt come out wearing the Jay Briscoe shirts. They're not in character. Jay's like tearing up as he makes his way to the ring. And then after the commercial break, we have fucking Mark Briscoe coming out with both ROH tag titles to a thunderous pop. This guy was so over. He has like Timothy Thatcher vibes. Because like Thatcher, he also has missing teeth, so that's just one idea. But their styles don't mesh, so maybe scrap the idea. But yeah, he comes out all unhinged, in full Mark Briscoe character, The commentators are changed to Caprice Coleman and Ian Riccaboni, and then the ring announcer is Bobby Cruz. Ring of Honor returns to AEW Dynamite, but now more accepted. And this match was fucking built as one where it's sort of like a coping mechanism. It's a sort of like grieving mechanism for both these wrestlers. They're gonna dish out as much damage as they can to honor the fallen Jay Briscoe. And then as for the fucking match itself, it's very main event paced. It's like both of these guys are facing off for a world championship. Mark Briscoe gets more offense off, but I can understand why. It's not as evenly matched as you would expect from a main event match, but it is pretty like 65-45. And they like bear out all their emotion. And then Mark Briscoe shows us why the Briscoes should have been in AEW for all that time. Like, what a stupid decision by Warner. Your tag team division could have been the undisputed, like the best in the world. No matter how much people are like, just like overhyping the Usos just because they've been tag team champions for a long time, even if the New Day did it before them. And the New Day are also a lot more entertaining. And I think they're a better tag team even if like you pair up any of the members. It could be Woods and E, it could be E and Kofi, it could be Kofi and Woods. Any of those permutations are better than the Usos. But if you bring the Briscoes in the mix, if you like have New Day, the Usos, the Young Bucks, FTR, and then the Briscoes would be like the best fucking tag team in that company. Because I haven't been watching them long, but their character work is just so good, like to match up with their in-ring. I think they're as good in the ring as FTR, and they're better than the New Day with their characters because these guys fucking have the most realistic characters. They like live their gimmicks. They're like actual chicken farmers. And Mark Briscoe is just all of that in this match. He has these things, like these mannerisms, these quirks that he does that like just make him so funny and like charismatic. Like when he does like a neck breaker, like he turns the person around and then he like makes this sound. Like the yat-tat-tat-tat thing he does. Just the way he moves around the ring, the way he carries himself, the moveset, redneck kung fu, and like his chops. And man, the chops might be... You know what? People might think I'm gonna be blasphemous, but those chops are just like second to Walter's and Go Shizaki's. Like I think Gunther/Walter at number 1, Go Shiozaki at number 2, and then Mark Briscoe number 3. And then you could put in like Marufuji or something. And then like an Ishii, and that's for the active ones. There are Japanese wrestlers who delivered chops better, like a Kenta Kobashi and such. Some of the American wrestlers are a bit overrated here, but undeniable also like Ric Flair, Chris Benoit, and that may be it. So yeah, top 3 spots of the match is number 3 is the blockbuster to Jay on the outside. Number 2 is the flying redneck kung fu chop, like an actual chop with the ulnar surface of your hand, like right to Jay Briscoe's head. And then number 1 is the froggy bow on the table. And then of course, the Jay Driller for the win, pay-per-view main event. Like it's definitely elevated by crowd response as well as like circumstances surrounding the match. It might be too one-sided, but it's a match that you would put on the main event of a pay-per-view. And I think it's one of the match of the year candidates. I think it's better than Moxley versus Hangman, and it's better than, you know what, almost as good as Danielson versus Bandito. Or like even just because I like this finish here more. So yeah, post-match is Mark shouts out Jay's kids. Like he goes right in front of camera, face to face, missing teeth and all, shouts out Jay's kids. And then the entire locker room come out and just like hug the guy. This is Mark's star-making performance, but I don't think he's gonna win like a world championship unless it's Ring of Honor. This is maybe the best Dynamite of the year. There is no like definitive bad match. The quality is still consistent even though I gave the rating of TV undercard to the match earlier. And then promo segments are just fire all over the place. So yeah, great Dynamite, best of the year so far, and hopefully we see a long, fruitful career for Mark Briscoe in AEW. So yeah, that's it for this review. Like, comment, and subscribe for engagement. Share if you don't know me. Hit that bell notification for future videos, and please, watch my shit.